G'day and welcome. I just thought I'd do a quick video on generosity, yeah? And some people have been very, very kind to me. Of course, one of them is Nick Sagliano Jr., American chap, and he has given me a full Mighty Vac kit, which I forgot I had actually, which I used to bleed to Plymouth. And also an oscilloscope, a small handheld oscilloscope, as well as a camera with a stick on it, like an endoscope type thing, that I was using for scouting around inside the Plymouth engine and that sort of stuff. So it's really, really good kit, and I'm forever thankful to him. He's done it again. And I only mentioned in a video in passing that I'd lost my little radiator loosening tool, and you stab it in and you break the seal around the radiator hose and you just pull them off. So he's given us that one, as well as a different type here for hard to reach places. And I also mentioned in another video a door trim removing tool. So mate, thank you. Thanks again. And I had no idea it was coming, and you know, the box arrived and it was like, what's this? I don't know anything about this. And opened it up and there he is. The other one that's been very generous, and I've got to try and get my head around this, because the Gibbons family, and I started my trade with John Gibbons Sr., and he, unfortunately, we all lost him at, I think in March 1988, and I went to work for, where did I go then? City Ford. His son got me a job at City Ford, which used to be Morley Ford on Yarrowbank Road. I think it's a casino now. So we all had these cars. I had an XC and an XA, and the XA was one that I wrecked, and I was always spewing about that. And it was a K code, and I'll talk about what this K code business means as well. And a friend of mine, Shane Infinity, had a XB hubcap 302 single exhaust 4-speed Fairmont, really unusual car, which he later modified. He put the bigger cam and a thermoquad and that sort of stuff on it, made it hammer. It revved all day long, that thing. And that car eventually went to John Gibbons' brother, Kevin. Actually, while Shane had it, he got a Falcon 500 GS, I think, or something like that. It was $500, and it was a 6-cylinder red car, and he took the grill off and the bonnet scoops and all this sort of stuff and made his car into a Fairmont GS. So he had that for a while, and he sold it to Kevin, and Kevin got a bunch of bits as well. And I remember giving Kevin a carburettor, an Autolite one, and I don't know if I gave Shane the manifold, but all this stuff. John said, look, I've got a bunch of crap in the car, do you want it? And yeah, okay. Pulls it out, and it's like the air cleaner, I'm 120% sure, was off my XA. Because I remember painting it in this horrible dark Ford VHT rattle can colour, and I hated it. But it was a K-code car. Now, K-code just signifies a 351 2-barrel, right? So for a North American person, that'd be no big deal. It's a bread and butter car. It's a 4-door sedan with a 351 low-spec engine in it. But here, in Australia, we had a whole history of 6-cylinder column shift manual cars, pretty much through the 50s and 60s. Toward the end of the 60s, when we started getting our first V8s, 289 XR Falcons and 302 XTs, and Holden had Chev-powered Brohams and Monaros and that sort of stuff that came available in the late 60s, but they were still comparatively rare. Most people would have a 6-cylinder column manual, which later in the 60s and 70s, a lot of people were buying automatic ones. And V8s were something of an unusual thing, although they were around, but they weren't all that popular. And of course, a lot of people did buy the 253 Holdens and 302 Fords. They didn't necessarily go for the bigger engines. Now, what was really unusual about this XA I picked up, today it would be rarer than a GT, because it was a Fairmont 351 manual, and really unusual spec. I'm sure it was a GS, but I think I mentioned in another video, I don't remember the dash. I don't remember if it had a sports dash. But anyway, John's given me all this stuff, exceedingly generous, and I actually said to him, you should probably keep this stuff because it's worth something. But he said, no, you take it. I don't want it. This is where I come to drop my crap off. So it was lovely to see those guys. In fact, I remembered LHP 003, the XA, and there's the bill of sale. I'll scan it and I'll show you. And it was $539.39 for stamp duty and transfer, so it was $500. And I got it at Nielsen Holden. It was in the wholesale yard on the 4th of November 85. Now, looking at this, JG34MY, MY would be October 1972, I think. And so it was halfway through the run. I think the XA started in March 72 and they stopped making them in September 1973. So this was on the cusp. I don't know when the update came or if there was an update in the XAs, but this has got an early air cleaner, and I'm positive it's this one. I'll show you this K-code business though. Let's talk about that first. Please excuse my mangy XE. Right, local Fords back in the day, JG, J Australia, G Broadmeadows, 32 is Fairmont GXL or Fairmont Gear, and the K we're talking about, you've got your numbers there, this guy's not registered so I've blocked them up, and there's a K at the end. Now what that means is the car was built with a V8, but it doesn't specify what size engine it was, it just means it was a V8 car. If there was a C at the end, it would mean that this car was built with a 6. Now up here is what you're really looking for. It's an engine designation, which is P on this car, which is the 302 4-barrel. The L is a 4-speed floor shift. So this car's a factory manual, but it's no longer a 302. They didn't use Ks and XCs. The 351s were all T because they're a 4-barrel 351 and their 302s are all P. Now, all 351 4-barrel engines came, except for the XD and XE, of course, blue block, blue valve covers or rock covers. K codes were orange, not dissimilar to that orange there. The valve covers were actually painted orange and the block was blue, 302s were all red. And there are people who don't agree with that, but it's the way it was. That's certainly true for the XA and XB, or ZFCG Fairlanes. The XY K code, I think, was all blue. I think. But don't quote me on that. Now, K codes were only in XY, XA and XB Falcons, and Z, D, F and G Fairlanes, the appropriate Fairlane model. The XWs, I tried to make mine look like K code, but it's not, by putting a 2V 351 in it as a grandpa spec type thing. That's what I want it to look like. XCs, of course, all of them had 4 barrels, and they got the T designation, which was only on the GT before that, or on police cars and stuff like that, if they had the 4-barrel 351 engine. No big deal by today's standards, but for collectivity, it's reasonably important. Me, I don't care. My XD is a matching number. The number on the shock tower we just had a look at there, and the engine should match. And that should also be on the VIN plate as well. And the XDs all match because it's the original engine. The Falcon doesn't. It was originally a 302 and that's a 351. It was in a P6 LTD, the Rolls-Royce front one. And it's date correct, but it's not the engine that actually came with the car. I don't even think it matters because whenever I've gone for a drive and enjoyed myself in one of these cars, I never think about the engine number. So we'll have a look at these bits that John dropped off. And again, thanks very much, John, if you see this. And I hope you enjoy. So naturally, I lost the first bit of video footage I took where we sort of cast an eye over this stuff. 2 air cleaners there. There's a pale blue one in the left-hand side. That was one that I sort of cut up to look like a GDR Toronto one. The only problem is when it was on the car, I remember this, you couldn't see the air filter on. You could just see the bottom of it. So it looked pretty crummy. Semi-quad intake manifold without the restrictors in the secondary, so that would be off a 351 car, I would think. I think all 302s had the restrictors cast into the secondaries. I could be wrong. Single rail, I think, bell housing. It could be both, I'm not sure. There's a clutch fork in that yellow box as well. Falcon 500 steering wheel. There's a GT, GS, XA, XB steering wheel there. There's also in that box an XC, XD single rail gear knob. And that dark blue air cleaner is, I am absolutely sure, off the K-Code XA I had. And we used to swap bits as kids, and I'm pretty sure that ended up with Kevin. I'm not sure that he used it though, because it's still painted in that really horrible crummy blue that I pulled from VHT rattle can. So that's the parts. We'll get on with the rest of the video now. So I'm really happy with this stuff, and look, it cleans up beautifully. That's that single rail, you know, a couple of scratches, but nothing wrong with that. So, hydroblasting and painting, I guess. But that's really, really good kit. This air cleaner I'm going to do up, I'm going to use it on the XW. The XW's base is actually an XC one, which will go on the XC. But this whole thing will go on the XW, and I'll paint it, get the lid done. Stuff like that. The XCs and XW's air cleaners are actually different. They're different colours. This is an early one too. The XC one has a hole there for the carbon canister. There's a paper sort of thing that goes there. but I don't know if I'll bother. I'll just leave that one. But I do want to do another Cleveland. I've got another Cleveland here, which is, it's a virgin bore, and it was bored 20 over, but hasn't had a finish hone yet. And I've also got the crack tested crank, and what's the other thing? 20 over pistons, the Hyper Tactics. But I don't have rods yet. But this sort of stuff's great for that bounty, and of course we'll run it with that. And there's a clutch in there, which I'm probably not going to use. But at the end of the day, I'm also thinking maybe of using that wheel in the XW as well. I don't know. It's got a bit of damage here. These normally have a wood grain stuff around them, I think. Or they're brown, I'm not sure. And that rim blow thing can be, oh, that's all hard. That can be replaced. But I reckon I can do that up. I'm a little bit nervous about this. I think that might be a bit too far gone, although that badge in the centre will fix up. I'm not sure about this. Someone might need to advise me. I can clean it up and sort of use a heat gun to get it into some sort of shape. But I'm surely really happy to have this stuff. And these sorts of things come up and you don't sell them off. You kind of do them up and retain them. So this is a base I was going to throw out years ago, and I decided to keep it. This is these are unusual. This is a late XB. They had, the earlier XBs had the same air cleaner as XAs, which were smaller. They look like an XY 6-cylinder one almost, with the same snorkels I got on the XW. But they used a Stromberg WW. All XCs had 4 barrels. The late XBs had the WW in a full-size air cleaner like this. Standardised part with the 351 air cleaner element. And, of course, they use that early type carbon canister. I reckon, because this is all rusty, it's knackered, I reckon I can use parts from that other one in here to make a good air cleaner. I wonder. I mean, probably not worth doing, but these are so hard to get and people ask stupid money for them. Legitimately stupid money. But I do remember doing this. I remember cutting this up when I was a kid, and I was basing it on an LJ GDR type air cleaner. You get to keep the air cleaner straight, look at the sticker on the top, admire it, but you get all your induction noise. And I think that's why I did it. But I'm wondering whether, I reckon, I don't know, where would you cut it? I've got to keep all that. I reckon I just cut it around the bottom. Weld it up, bodywork it. Perfect air cleaner. And just chuck all this stuff out. Yeah, just cut it around the bottom. I reckon I can do that. Can I do that? That's different. That bit there to there. I reckon I can make it work though. I wonder if it's worth doing. Whatever the case, that can go under the house. That's a project for later on. Now, I made a point of telling John that this stuff is actually quite valuable now, and he should probably sell it. And he said, you know what? I don't even want it. He said, you're the one I keep dropping all my crap off at. There's a couple of things, and Ford did change air cleaners around quite a lot. Most of the most of the later ones, I'll just take that lid off. That lid looks pretty wrecked up. Most of them have holes here. Some of them only have one hole for a hose that comes off onto the engine oil cap. Some of the, hang on, which ones? XB and XC ones. Hang on, let me get this right. Mid-XB to mid-XC had a large hole with a bayonet fitting for the spun aluminium tube that goes onto the canister. Later XCs had the XD type canister, which didn't have that spun aluminium tube. They vented it a different way. This hasn't got anything there, so it's made to be on a vehicle with a standard type of oil cap. It's a vented oil cap, but it's that type. It's got a little dent in it. And of course, I keep, well, not keep, but every now and then I come across really good kit for the XW, and you know, I think it would be something of a waste not to use it. It does look pretty wrecked, so I might actually send this to be hydroblasted, but I'll take this vacuum motor off. I'm quite curious to see if I can see numbers or anything on it. If I can, I'll be in a bit of a, I won't know what to do if there's numbers, because that makes it even more legit. There's just a bit of garage thinner. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this off. It's been down, and I'm sure I did this. I'm sure I did it when I was young. That's not going to come off. I was just looking for, I thought I could probably find some numbers. Yeah, that paint's coming off. So that's the bare finish under there. So I don't think I'm going to save anything by trying to rub paint off and seeing if it's got numbers or whatnot. But I think this is just brilliant. And I remember regretting the colour. I hated the colour. Because it's out of a VHT can. It was dark forward blue and light forward blue. And neither colour, I reckon, is any good. But they're all really hard. It's also got this bracket here. So there's a lot on this air cleaner that's just not typical of the later ones. So I'll just take a bit of stuff off. If there was an original finish, I would not do this. But I don't see anything wrong with messing around with it if it's not original. But the correct fasteners, you know, people are fussy about all that sort of thing, and you know, they are quite, you know, I will plate that. That's the proper fastener for it. The air cleaners were on, well, XA. I thought the GT XA actually had, the automatics had one of these, and the manuals had a sports air cleaner. I'm not sure. And it's fairly straight. I did have a look at it. It's sort of it's very hard to get these in good shape. It's got a dent there, but that will clean up absolutely brilliantly. Righto, so I've given this a bit of a sweep out. I'll just bend these tabs back on this thermal unit thing. And I can redo that. So these bits will go in a box. That's the original colour there, which is nothing like. You can see it through that horrible dark blue. And that does look a lot like the XW's colour. Whether or not I use it for the XW, I don't know, but it's just a really nice piece to have. The other thing is that is melted and horrible. I might just heat those up. And then that's all stripped, although there's this bit here which has been bent back. That would be for the carburetor breather, I would think. It goes that way. I don't know, I'll leave that bent for now until I figure it out. But that's in such good shape. Really, really good condition. There's not even that, did I mention the square hole that they have for the two pipes coming out of here, the two tubes coming out of that thermal thing. I wouldn't mind salvaging this plastic thing. It looks like it's got some print on it. That one there, I might have to try and find another one. It's too knackered. We just want to soften it a bit. And that's nice and hot. And oh, that came out beautifully. Can I peel it off? Oh, it's rotted. That's too hot. I might have overcooked it a bit, eh? Ooh. Get this thing out. There's even this thing, it looks like that, I don't know what it is, it was sort of stuck underneath it. I'm not sure what that was. Hang on a sec, I've got this probably a little bit too hot. Oops. There we go. I'll need another one of those. I don't know what they're for. But that's nicely stripped off. The lid, on the other hand, isn't quite as schmick, but I will get that blasted too. It's just missing half of its seal. It's missing all of its seal. I'll find something else to use there. But while I get some of the Plymouth stuff blasted, I might as well get them done too. The other lid I've got was on the one that I tried to make look like a GTR air cleaner. That's this one here. That's in much better condition. No dents, but the seal's in check, so I would be inclined to leave that. and just paint it. Because I will restore another one, but I'm loving that. I think that's great. Let's try and work this out. And that is in good nick. The diaphragm's still good. I might try and have that cleaned up, but I do not want to ruin it. We'll just have to get that rivet out. Just a second. Alright, I think we're good. I've got that in bits. It's all free and working properly. This bit here is in good nick. There's a little bit of a bend in it, I think, but it's not too bad. It's not enough to worry about, I think. So that'll go, and I'll see what I can do with that vacuum motor, if I can find where I put it, because I can't remember where it dropped. Yeah. I'll try and get that cleaned up as well. So let's look at this other thing. I think it was out of a 6-cylinder GS, but again, you know, I could be completely wrong with that. It might not have been at all, but the centre looks pretty knackered. You can get repro ones, but the core of the wheel, as we said before, looks pretty good, although there is a crack there. But I don't know that this is wood grain. Is this just brown? Because if it's just brown, I can redo that. The rim blow thing is pretty stuffed. And of course we can get in there and clean all that. But it really does look in pretty tremendous shape, all things considered, you know. It is missing the thing at the back though, the slipper ring thing at the back. And I don't know how that secures, I can't see where it was. The other wheel that is here with this might divulge that secret, but you know, I'm not going to throw any of that out yet. This is just a means of, you know, cleaning it up, and if there's any small cracks like in there, I would drill that either side and fill it up with epoxy. That crack that's starting there, that's going through, I would fill that too. This one here would require more work, but it's a very, very clean piece in terms of condition. I could put this on the XW2, but I don't really want to. I like the factory sort of Fairmont look about it, even though it's not a Fairmont. And I need to sort of really clean this up, but I don't know what is between there. Oh, I don't want to scratch that, but I really do need to look into this to see what is supposed to be in there. Is that some sort of trim, or there's a crack coming through there? I would drill that, because this is really restorable. I'll have to keep all these bits too. It's very corroded in that area, so it needs a good wash, a good clean. So we can do that. That's easy to do. That's not hard at all. So I just thought I'd show you those couple of things. I don't know that we can do much with these, but you know, stranger things have happened. How does that sit? That's bad. This is probably all shrunk in too. You can get some of the DOZA, that's 1970. Gee whiz. They're probably all marked to that number, regardless whether it's 70 or 75. Is that a scratch or a crack? Anyway, I need to think about all this and see what to do with it. Somebody might know. When I did this XW, I finished it 6 years ago. I wanted to emulate a Mustang engine bay, which is why I didn't want GT 351 stuff, because everyone does it. That air cleaner snorkel is off a 302XB, an early 302. Now the 302s use a Stromberg WW, and they had a much smaller air cleaner housing. The American ones, that's got a spigot down there for that spun sort of tubing we were talking about before that goes onto the heat riser, which I haven't fitted to this engine because I've got to change that manifold over. We've got a 289 hypo manifold on that side and a 302 one on this side. I never got around to changing that, but I'm going to start doing a bit of work on this car. This is an XC air cleaner base, or an XB, late XB, early XC one, because it's got that bayonet fitting there, around that side. Can you see it? I don't know. This is a Windsor, obviously. It's a different, that's an American type cap. They had these on all sorts of V8s over there. When I did this car, it was supposed to emulate, you know, an XWK code, which there's no such thing. But that's the sort of kind of appearance I was chasing with it. That's the correct Ford corporate blue, dark Ford corporate blue, which looks similar to the other colour as you're looking at it now, but there's no light in here, which is probably the way, or the reason it looks like that. I was thinking about using that air cleaner in this car, but I've changed my mind. I love this just the way it is. It's perfect. I will change the manifold out. I've got a Performer, a brand new one. I'll put a Holly 600 on it. I've actually got a restored auto light, and I might even use that. I'll get another Hypo 289 manifold. It's got one on this side. I'll get them ceramic coated, and I'll put another one on that side, modify the exhaust, and move the coil and put power steering on it. But I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I'm very, very happy with it. But it's, I've got to take this car out for a drive actually. I haven't driven it for a little while just because it's sort of locked in. So I'll show you what I've got back. I'm just going to get some cardboard out. Hang on a minute. Get my cotton cover. I washed this and it filled the whole washing machine up. It's that big. Right. Now, where are we? That's the fan boss for the Plymouth. Now with this and that, which is the vacuum motor for the air cleaner, they're bare hydroblasted, and I'm just going to clear them. So they come, that still works, they come with a coating on them. Now that's got the original Ford badge and patent number and all this business. I'm not going to risk blasting or dipping that because it'll bugger the diaphragm out. So that will just get cleared. That'll get cleared. That's fine. This is just wonderful, this thing. There's a slight little bit out of it there. I can even fill that with a bit of weld, but I'm not going to bother. I think it's fine the way it is. I'd swear this is the one I had on the XA that I had. Now, there was also in that box clutch fork, and same number as these two from Graham. So I can send them back to Graham. I just haven't yet. The problem I had of the trajectory on the XC's clutch slave is wrong, and this goes with that other bell housing that I got as well. And there could be a difference in the bell housings. I doubt it, but there could be. If I can get away with just putting one of these into the XC's bell housing, well, that will fix the problem. But if there's still a discrepancy in there, it could be the height of the slave cylinder. Don't know. I could be completely wrong. There's the lid. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. You can see it's had surface rust and that sort of thing on it. Some of it you couldn't get out, and it's a little bit dodgy in that area. And it's all correct for an earlier car. Now I was going to use this for the XW, and I've changed my mind. I don't really want to because I'm really happy with the way the engine bay looks in the XW, and I think it'd be a bit of a sin to do that. But it's a really nice thing to have. That's the correct XA K code. So I'm just going to edge prime those just to look after them and make sure they don't rust anymore. And I'll package them up in a box. Now this wheel is another thing. I've looked at this and there's just that crack there. The brown plastic bit feels like it's lifted somewhere. I can't, oh there. Now, these have a wood grain bit and they've got another bit that goes in here, and I'm not going to attempt that. There was a guy on Facebook that was restoring them for 450 bucks. I think the ad was a couple of years old. And the work just looks absolutely stunning. He sort of does the wood grain and all this sort of stuff, and you get back this brand new wheel, and of course it's genuine, which is the main thing. Now what I was thinking of doing is calling him up and getting it done. there were a few comments, pardon me, underneath his ad to say he doesn't, pardon me, answer his phone. But this is all stuff that, although it was given to me, I'm not going to sell. It's not for sale because I don't want to have to, you know, I don't want to be known as the guy who gets given stuff and then flogs it off for profit. I'm not going to do that. If I do decide to sell any, then I'll give the money to John because he's the one that gave me the parts. And, you know, that's the fairest and most honest thing I can think of doing. But I would sooner keep them. And I'm not looking for another car. But I tell you now, if I did find an XA, I would probably take it on to make up that lost K code that I had with these parts. And also that lovely 351 Cleveland, which would suit this air cleaner style better, that I have under the bench. And of course we've got a manifold. I wouldn't use the thermoquad, I'd probably look for a square bore manifold for it, but certainly the orange cover 2V351 manual would be very desirable in a car like that, I would think. So it's just stuff for a rainy day. The engine in the XC I got 8 years before I used it. I bought it because it was there and I had it sitting in the garage and lots of people wanted to buy it and I wouldn't sell it to them, and I ended up needing it, and it's perfect for the XC. Oh, look at this. Right, I've given this air cleaner a bit of a splash with some etch primer and it's beautiful. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't straightened these bits out. Those little tongues I think go around the vent on the carburetor. Maybe one of those Motorcraft turbo ones. I don't know how that works, but that's all looking good. One thing I have noticed, I thought the tops were the same. It looks like they're not. Maybe it's American one. It's square around there. All of your XB, C, D, E air cleaners are all rounded like that way. That was another one that came in that little bounty. And of course, that just looks lovely. It's all functional, looks lovely. You can get aftermarket ones of these. I think around $240, but they're straight. I don't think they're sort of turned down like that. For what I've been able to research, this is early XA, so XY and early XA. The other thing is the repro ones don't have that protrusion there, that little bit there. They've just cleared that, and that'll just sit in the box. Look, oh, and also the clutch fork, that's beautiful. I can probably just give Graham back his ones, well, I will, because they're his. And that was a little single rail gear knob that was covered in soot, and that's come up really well. I could polish it a bit more, I guess, but that's a nice piece as well. And you know what, I've given away so much stuff in my time because people need it, and you know, they can use it and you can't, sort of thing, or at least you haven't got a project for it. But I'm loath to give any of this away or sell any of it off because I'm just sick and tired of what people are charging for this stuff now. And in fact, there's an XD air cleaner on eBay at the moment, $1,500, and it's not even complete. And it's a late XD and XE one with the clips on the side. The early XD ones are a lot rarer. But I don't know how people justify that. I think the guy's just being silly. And certainly, you know, if an air cleaner is $1,500, then this XC behind me that I built out of all parts would probably owe me 250 grand, which is just insane. And these people that get greedy and think they can charge what they want, well, they can, it's theirs, they can charge whatever they like, but you know, the people that put these sorts of prices on parts, they're obviously not enthusiasts. They just want to make a quick buck. But it takes the ability to get an old car and restore it just completely out of the equation. And it's not even viable when people are asking that sort of money just for simple parts. It's just insane. So I could bodywork that a little bit. I sort of took away some of the dents on the edge. There's still one there, a protrusion that can just get tapped down, maybe a bit of fill. But at the end of the day, I'm really happy with how this stuff's turned out. And it's just such an honour. I feel very fortunate, almost humbled to be given this stuff. So thanks again, John, for that. It's wonderful. And if I get myself an XA, I know exactly what I'm going to be using. What do you want, puss? Oh, that's right. Smelly camera. There's not much left in here, just this wheel and these bolts. They're useful too. They're Ford ones, I think. Well, they're just 7/16 course and 3/8 course. There's a couple of 5/16 in there, but we'll use those as well. He's named after Mr. Leahy on Trailer Park Boys. There you go, Leahy. Just sorting out some of these Plymouth engine fasteners. Pretty crazy, you know it, I know it. Some of them look a little better than others. It doesn't look too great. But that one looks absolutely lovely. So it's nice having the original kit. You know what I mean? So these are all inlet manifold ones. Some of them are marked and some aren't. And fuel pump unions, blah blah blah, seat nuts and water pump, and yeah, you know how it goes. Anyway. What do you reckon? She haven't. Jesus. Move. Move, cat. Move. Move. Come on.